Hey Royals, in this video I'm going to show you how we can use this online software called Vernier Video Analysis to gather and analyze our data for our labs. So the first thing we need is a video of the laboratory experiment. So in the case of this lab, we're going to be running two golf balls into each other and we can analyze their velocities or speeds from the graphs produced. Okay, so let's import this video. So the video should be on either our Google Drive, a memory stick, or your personal computer's hard drive. So we're going to hit either choose file or import video. I'm going to go with import video. And there's the video that we're going to import. So I'll double click and it will just take a second for it to load. There it is there. And let's run the video just quickly so we can see what happens here. So the white golf ball comes rolling down this ramp. It's going to strike the orange golf ball and they're going to separate. All right, so the video itself on the screen is quite small and we can make it larger a couple of different ways. So we can grab this little slider and we can slide it to make it larger. Or in fact, if we don't even need the graph or the data table at the moment, we can get rid of them. So here in the top right corner, you see view options, click on it and flip the toggle switch for the graph and the data table. And it makes it a little bit bigger for us. Okay, so now that we have our video input in and it's back to the first frame there, let's tell the computer how many frames per second we filmed this video in. Now this one was filmed in 120 frames a second. So how I get to that pop-up window is this gear in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to click on it. Here it says how many frames did I shoot or what was my frame rate. I'm going to write in 120.0. And every time I click to move the gather data, I want the film to move not one frame forward, but let's go two. That will just limit the number of times that we have to click in our experiment. If you would prefer to do, one click for every frame, that's totally up to you. You'll get more data points, maybe a little bit better data, but it might take you a lot longer to gather your data. So we're ready to go. So let's close this window. And next thing we're going to do is we need to set a scale. We need to tell the computer how long, say 1 meter is. Now 1 meter is too big for this video, but we do know that the floor tiles are 30.5 centimeters long. So let's set that scale. Here on the left-hand side, we're going to hit System. Now this length of between our two circles here, there's a line between their centers or origins, is 984 pixels. It thinks that that distance is 1 meter. In fact, it's not. So we're going to take this one, we're going to drag it right to that floor tile. We're going to take this one and we're going to drag it right along this floor tile. And I think we just need to move this slightly over. There we go. 769 pixels is equivalent to 0.3, for our measurements, 0.305. So we measured it to be 30.5 centimeters or 0.305 meters. So that's good. Let's also tell the computer where we want the origin of our axis system to be. Where do we want x is equal to 0 and y equal to 0? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring this along here. I'm going to bring it to the orange golf ball. I can rotate it so that my x-axis and my y-axis are tilted. And I want it so that when my white golf ball rolls, it's rolling essentially along that x-axis. That's pretty good with what we have right now. So I'm happy with my axis system. So we're going to roll this forward. We're going to keep clicking frame forward until I'm at a point where I'm certain that that golf ball is not accelerating down the ramp anymore. So I think we're pretty much good here. All right, so let's track this white golf ball. Okay, so we're on the left-hand side here. We're going to hit Add, and we're going to hit Track, and this brings up a bullseye. So we're going to put the bullseye right on the white golf ball. and we want to set it so that it's right in the middle of it. Now, if your golf ball was a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, we can scale that with the slider here on the left-hand side. So we're going to make it about the size of a golf ball. And then we're going to click inside that circle. So watch what happens. Click, and the golf ball's moved on me. So now I need to move my cursor, click, and again, I move it again, click. And this is us tracking that white golf ball. All right, so I'm going to let you see this, and I'm going to speed up the video so that we have all the data. We now have enough data before the collision and after that collision to model this white golf ball. Now, I don't know why my computer here is kind of reflecting the data. It's correctly measured. It's just, it seems that it wants to say that the golf ball is going downward on my screen versus upward on my screen. So what we want to do now is we want to track the orange golf ball. Now, I don't want to just simply move the cursor here because it will think that that is still the first object. So let's back the video up to the very, very beginning. Let's move it forward to the point where the golf ball comes down. So here we go. We're moving it forward. And there's my first data point. So let's go back one frame. And we're going to come to the left-hand side here. We're going to say objects, and we're going to add a new object. So now we should have object 2 highlighted. And we're going to move our cursor over to object 2. And we're going to repeat the process. So click, move, click, move, click, move, click, move. In this case, we don't have to move because the orange golf ball is not moving. Okay, so follow the path of the orange golf ball and then come on back to this video. Okay, so we now have our data for both golf balls and it's time to analyze it. So I don't need the video anymore. So I'm going to just go again to the top right corner, click on this view options. I'm going to turn off the video and I'm going to turn on the graph. Now I want 2 graphs here. I want one graph for the horizontal positions and I want one graph for the vertical positions. You can see by default, it has all of my position data here at the very top and it has all my velocity data here at the bottom graph. So let's fix that. On the left-hand side where I can change the y-axis, I'm going to click on it. First, I'm going to notice that I have X and Y and I have X2 and Y2. That's object 2. So let's label what these actually are. So the horizontal position, we're going to change the title of this. So chart or column options. Let's change the name to ball 1 horizontal position. And we're going to hit apply. And now you can see that that in fact has changed. I'm going to do the same for the other. This is going to be ball 1 vertical position. And let's change that. And I'll allow you the same thing. So I would change these to ball 2 horizontal and ball 2 vertical. But I'm not going to show you how to do that here. I expect that you could probably do it from the previous examples. So let's make this just horizontals. So you see the sliders here. Let's turn off the vertical and let's turn off the vertical. And we should have 2 nice lines here on the top graph. And then the bottom graph, we want just the vertical information. So ball 1's vertical position. Let's turn off the velocities, turn off the other velocities, and we want ball 2's vertical. And you should notice that this does look like the analysis that we saw in class for the collision of 2 objects. Okay, so prior to the collision would be kind of this region here. And then after the collision would be kind of this region here, where the velocities have changed. Okay, so let's analyze this. Let's get the computer to find the slopes of our lines in these different regions. So let's find the slope in this region for the top, the horizontal positions. So to do that, we're going to highlight the data we want to analyze. We're going to apply a curve fit. Yes, we want it to be linear. We're going to hit apply. And you can see here's the slope of the red line. Here's the slope of the yellow line. But we also want error bars or errors on these measurements. So let's go ahead and click the gear and say, yes, we do want to show the uncertainty. And lo and behold, there's our uncertainty values. Okay, so what I want you to do is you're going to do the same type of thing for the second section of the horizontal. You'll do the same type of thing for the first and second section of the velocities the positions in the y direction. But another thing we want to do is we want to be able to change the titles of these graphs. So you'll notice that these graphs do not have titles at the moment, so we can get that. Okay, so we're going to click on this chart or graph options. So we'll click there, and we're going to go down to edit graph options. And that allows us to put in a title. So you can see I've already typed these before. So horizontal position of 2 golf balls during a two-dimensional collision. There it is there. And I can do the same thing for the bottom graph. Again, clicking on kind of this graph options button, going to edit graph options. And sure enough, I did have it already typed in prior to this video. So you can see there it is, put it in. All right, so how do I get these graphs into my lab report? Before we export this, let's save the data that we have just done. So top left here, we can hit untitled. We're going to go and we're going to hit save or save as. It's going to ask you where do you want to save it, and you can save it right there on your computer or in your drive. I've already saved this, so there it is there. I'm not going to save it again. It should change the title of your experiment. Okay, let's get this data out of this program. Okay, so let's go title, export, and you can export the graphs. As 4:3, it doesn't really look amazing. Let's go to 16:9. The data looks a little better. You can see I've clicked on a certain data point. Let's fix that. So I'm going to click off, and I'm just going to click at the X here. So no longer do I have that horizontal bar, and we're going to go to export again. And so now this should look a little bit better. Again, 16:9. There it is there. That's graph number 1. You could have it export this as a PNG, and then you could do graph number 2 and export that one as a PNG as well. Or if you prefer, you could have a PDF exported, and that's going to put both graphs on the same piece of paper, and it's going to label them graph 1 and graph 2. So if you wanted to refer to graph 1 and graph 2, that's totally fine. All right, so and then you're going to save the PDF. That should give you a running start on how to use this program. But if you have specific questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me.